Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another video. Joined by a very special guest today. We're joined by Tom. Tom is a recruitment consultant and a football scout, and we're actually here to sit down and talk about Everton Football Club, of course, and the central midfield role. We're going to talk about some of the midfielders that we've been linked to over the last 2-3 weeks or so, a couple of months or so, and we're also going to talk about some that we haven't necessarily been linked to but could fit into Carlo Ancelotti's Everton side absolutely perfectly, because we know from being on social media and looking through the internet, Everton have been linked to countless amounts of players over the last few months or so, certainly since Carlo Ancelotti has come into the football club. A lot of them have been in the midfield position. Obviously, we talk frequently about the likes of Adrian Rabiot, Allen, James Rodriguez is a name that was brought up a couple of times, but there's a lot of other players that could fit into Carlo Ancelotti's system that probably wouldn't cost us half the amount that the players I've just mentioned would cost us, and also would be a better fit long term as well. So we're going to sit down with Tom, we're going to talk about them, and hopefully we will get a bigger insight into the market, certainly when discussing centre midfielders, because I think centre midfield's a position that we desperately need to look at this summer. Obviously losing Idrissa Gana Gueye last summer and replacing him with Jean-Philippe Gbamin. Of course, Jean-Philippe Gbamin, getting the injury, and then obviously we haven't seen him an awful lot. So centre midfield is definitely a position that we need to address and we need to look at as a matter of urgency for me in the transfer market. So I thought we'll sit down and we'll talk about the position just generally. Then before we get into players, how are you, mate? Obviously we're in this weird sort of situation at the moment. How's things?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Just start off. Thanks for having me on. It's my first outing on a channel, so I appreciate that.
No worries.
Yeah, it's T Logic. I'm T Logic on Twitter at T Logic 1991. So if you get confused with Tom, that's my regular name.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we'll leave Tom's Twitter in the description so you can go over and you can follow him. He's got a much bigger insight into football, much more knowledge into football and footballers than me, so I'm sure you're all sick of just hearing me going on about the same players and the same rumours coming from all of these mad publications that are linking us with everybody. So I thought, well, we'll bring Tom on and Tom will be able to talk to us about the players that we actually need and we actually should be looking at. So we've got a list of players that we've both sat down and we've sort of gone through and we've had a little look at. But before we go into talking about any of them, I want to talk about the obvious name, which is of course Allen, Napoli midfielder. Allen, 29 years old, been linked with Everton now for months, I'd say. Obviously there's that very clear chemistry with Carlo Ancelotti, there's that connection with Carlo Ancelotti, as there is with most of the players that we've been linked with over the previous weeks and months or so. Allen is obviously a player that's cropped up a lot. There's been certain journalists to state that, we've bid for him, certain people stating that he will sign for Everton Football Club. What's your opinion on Allen then? Obviously 29 years old, he's got the European experience, played under Carlo Ancelotti before. Would you be happy to bring somebody like an Allen in? And also, I noticed yesterday there was a rumour stating that we bid £25 million for Allen. Now, 3 or 4 weeks ago, that rumour was £60 million. So it seems like if it's to be believed, Napoli are willing to take such a drop in price for him. So how do you feel about Allen?
Yeah, I think let's just start by saying, he is a good player. He comes out good on his stats with his passes, defensive side, and also when I've watched him, he is a solid performer. Don't get me wrong, he's pretty poor in the air, but overall, general opinion on him, he is good. But I've got a bit of an issue with it, just from from a fan aspect of it, and also like when you're recruiting. I mean, you've heard Ancelotti come out and say that like he wants players who want to. He wants to come out and say, to make them stars instead of bringing in ready-made players. And also you've heard from Marcel Brands. He's come out and said like he's not really interested in signing players over maybe 28, 29. So, and listen, when these players come in from different leagues, there's got to be time to adapt to a different league. And also he's been in Italy for, I think, since 2012. Yeah. So you've got a 29-year-old for 25 million, and then I've seen reports saying he's on 100 grand. He'll be on 100 grand a week. I mean, that just doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah. It doesn't really go, like you mentioned, with the Marcel Brands sort of style either. Marcel Brands, obviously, ever since he's come into Everton, has made it pretty apparent that he wants to bring younger players in and make them into stars, like you said, players with that potential. Now, obviously, we've seen, you know, a couple of ready-made players come in your likes of your Fabian Delphs, but Marcel Brands' general strategy is usually to bring younger players in and then develop them from there. We've seen it with Moise Kean, you know, we've seen it numerous times over the past couple of transfer windows, so I agree. I think, you know, Alan, again, he's that name, isn't he? He's that player that if we brought him in, the fans would be like, oh, we've got Alan, it's that big name.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the other players that we'll talk about in just a second maybe aren't on that stature in terms of the fan excitement. Fans would still be happy to see them come to Everton because they're very, very good players, but it wouldn't be a case of, oh my God, we've signed so-and-so. But that doesn't always mean that the player's going to come in and you know, get his head down and you know, work in the system straight away, does it?
I think on this one, I think the negatives outweigh the positives on it.
Yeah.
And if you just add to it, if he doesn't settle for, say, a year or two, then you've got a 30-odd-year-old player on high wages with no sell-on value.
Yeah.
So I think on this one, I think Marcel Brands needs to stick to his principles and create sort of a list of similar players from the ages of maybe 21 to 24. In that sort of age bracket, and I think you've got to look at it as well. I think for 25 million, 100 grand, you know, is he going to be the difference where to get us into that European places?
Yeah.
Because, in my opinion, I can't really see it.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there about his age and stuff, and like you're saying, there's no guarantee he'd be able to come in and work in this midfield straight away. And there's a lot of players that, when coming into the Premier League, do take a couple of years to adapt. We're seeing it at the moment with Moise Kean, and you're spot on. If he comes in and it takes 2 years to adapt, you're sitting with a 31-year-old player on 100 grand a week who, like you said, there's no reset, there's no sell-on value for him, and you know there is financial implications. And when looking at these deals, that's why you laugh when you see, you know, Everton being linked with players for 70-80 million pounds, and you're like, it's
ridiculous.
It's not going to happen because there's a lot of these players have got no sell-on value, and financially at the moment, no club is in that situation. Well, not a lot of clubs are in the situation where they could go and spend 70-80 million pound on one player this summer. Certainly not Everton. So moving on then, obviously, to a couple of more realistic, shall we say, players that we could bring in and ultimately would improve Everton, and a couple of them obviously playing in the Premier League, who we'll go on to talking about in a second, and therefore wouldn't necessarily be at that period of settling into English football. I've got a list on them then. We'll go for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg first. Southampton midfielder. Out of the four players that we've listed, he is the player that's been linked with Everton the most over the last couple of weeks and months or so. Again, like I said, a couple of these haven't been linked. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg has been linked a couple of times. Southampton struggling to tie him down to a new contract. I think Ralph Hasenhüttl's come out recently and spoke about how, you know, he's a little bit hesitant to sign the contract. Obviously 24 years old, Danish Southampton captain as well. Centre midfielder, been there since July 2016. Again, defensive sort of midfield role. What do you think about Højbjerg then? Again, you know, seeing the rumours, would you be happy to bring him in? Do you think he could fit into our midfield and improve?
Yeah, well, with Southampton at the moment, Ralph Hasenhüttl has been deploying a 4-4-2 with him and Ward-Prowse in the midfield, and you watch him, and Pierre Højbjerg's been pivotal in that. Yeah. I think since Hasenhüttl has been brought in, I think he's been the main one out of the two that's really caught the eye. I also think over the last couple of seasons, I think he's been brilliant. I do. He's a mobile centre midfielder who's aggressive and covers the ground really well. He's good in pressing opposition from a defensive standpoint. But a big part of he would be a big part of what Ancelotti's needs are in his system. Yeah. He's good from a passing standpoint as well. I mean, he's completing 57% of his long passes, so you could imagine the balls that he could play for a Charleston or DCL the way we're on the counter-attack. He's comfortable in attempting his 1v1 dribbling. I think he rates about 50% on that. He's good. He's capable of running through the lines with the ball, but mainly his main duty is to just sit back and let the other one progress. Yeah. But he can do it. Yeah. I mean, his best data I like for Everton is he's averaging 6.35 interceptions per 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I think if I'm not mistaken, that's like the fourth highest from his position. So compare that to our highest, which is Schneiderlin on about 4 per 90.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big difference. Yeah. So is he going to bring that tenacity that we have been lacking in the centre area since Garner left? Yeah, I think he would. I think he certainly would.
Yeah. And like you mentioned then, formation-wise, he's playing in a 4-4-2, so he'd be used to that. And I think, one of the biggest sort of talking points and something that you really have to think of is that Everton obviously sold Idrissa Gana Gueye in whilst he was playing in a formation that allowed 3 midfielders, 2 defensive midfielders and 1 centre attacking midfielder. Now, I've been one of these fans that as soon as I've seen the Idrissa Gana Gueye rumours, have jumped on, oh my God, bring him back, we need him, we haven't replaced him, etc, etc. And I think obviously it's quite easy to fall under that because we know how good Idrissa Gana Gueye was for Everton. But I think we also have to realise, like you said, that we've changed formation since then. We play now with 2 central midfielders, Andre Gomes being one of them. Do you believe that Højbjerg then could fit in and almost fill the role that Idrissa Gana Gueye was doing week in, week out for Everton Football Club, but also offer us a little bit that we need sort of going forward and up the pitch?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really say that he'd be the difference of what Garner left. I mean, he was a massive part of what Silva done, and even Ancelotti. I mean, sorry, even Allardyce and that. So it's hard to replace a player like that. I mean, you're talking, he was in the top 2 with Kante. Yeah. So you've got to sort of pull away kind of thing and sort of time finds. See, the only thing I had issue with Garner is his passing ability.
Yeah, it wasn't great, was it?
No. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was all over the place. He was doing a 2-man job, essentially. Yeah. But I think his passing was just not what we needed. Yeah. So I think he will play well with Gomez. I mean, listen, Gomez is a very good player on his day, but he hasn't really shown it, in my opinion, since he's been at the club. Yeah, he has had a horrendous injury. Yeah. But I think when he was playing with Ghana, he was massively helped. Yeah. So I think since that, I think he has needed that player who can cover the pitch, but as well as go forwards and sort of take a bit of the passing burden on.
Yeah, you're spot on, and Gomez and Garner complemented each other very, very well. Garner done the dirty work, he run around, he covered every blade of grass, and Gomez would do the nice, work. He picked the ball up, he'd take it down, he'd use his body well. You made a fantastic point then. Idrissa Gana Gueye's passing range wasn't fantastic for Everton. He done what he done really, really well because he'd get about the pitch. He didn't need to spray a 50-yard pass because he was everywhere. He was always within 5 yards of a player because of how much he moved. And we are lacking that, and we are lacking that tenacity. And like you said, and if Højbjerg can come in, 24 years of age, captain of Southampton as well, which again we've been crying out for leaders for absolute years at Everton Football Club. I'm 21 years old, and since your Tim Cahill and your Mikel Arteta days, and certainly since the likes of Jagielka's left, I can't remember a team with more than maybe one proper leader in it. Højbjerg very clearly showing the leadership skills to be the captain at such a young age, and like you said, he's got that tenacity and he's got that quality. On the leader point then, with Højbjerg, is he somebody you think will come in and ultimately will be able to lead by example on the pitch and also pick the rest of the team up? Because I think as Evertonians we can all sort of sit down and agree that there's not enough leadership in the squad at the moment.
Yeah. Well, like you just said, then I think when we had leadership as in Jagielka and Baines, I mean, they are leaders off the pitch, but when you see the likes of John Terry, even Steven Gerrard and all that, they just nail referees. They'd be all over them. They'd give them a nightmare. When you look back at like for example, when Morales took that penalty off Baines, no one stepped up at all.
Barkley did it as well, didn't he?
Yeah, you're screaming. I look at it and think that would never happen in another top side team. Yeah. It just wouldn't. Imagine Roy Keane. Yeah. I mean, there'd be an absolute world war. Exactly. So I think he would. Yeah, I mean, obviously in modern day now, he would, because you've got to take in consideration a man like Ralph Hasenhüttl, that he's given the armband at 24 years of age. So I think he certainly would.
Yeah, and like you said, he's been there 4 years this season. July 2016, he come in 24 years of age, joined that at 20. So he's obviously proved himself at the club. And
I think for the last 2 years, he's really shown what he's about.
Yeah,
I think he's been in the top 10 centre midfielders of the Prem. Include with I mean, if you took De Bruyne out and the top side teams, I think you're talking Højbjerg and the Wolves too, with João Moutinho and Ruben Neves, who he's up there with. I think as well, though, I think I've seen it today. He's got a year left on his contract, and I think apparently Southampton are quoting 35 million. Listen, they're getting nowhere near that.
Yeah, exactly. And
if you could bring him in for 20 million, I mean, already proven Premier League midfielder. Young. I mean, especially when you're talking 25 million for Alan, who's got very few red flags about him. So
exactly, spot on. Yeah. He fits the bill a little bit more, like you said. He's used to the Premier League, 24 years of age. In terms of the player's point of view, he's coming to play under one of the best managers in world football. And I'd be confident bringing Højbjerg in. You know, like we said, there's a lot of Evertonians, and you know, I've been included in it, you know, numerous amounts of times over the years, who see a big name and the lack of Premier League experience and the age and the price and the wage just goes out the window, because you just think, oh my God, we're going to sign this player who's going to fix all of our issues. But that's not necessarily always the case, and Højbjerg might be one of those players that we go, good signing, and he might come in and be absolutely fantastic for Everton. Very similar to what Gana Gay was. We brought Gana Gay in and everyone went, good player, and then he ended up being one of the most pivotal players in the last 10 years. I
think even when with Ghana, that was a bit of a surprise, because when you're looking at it, Aston Villa got relegated and we bought him for 8 million, and I think everyone was going, what's this about? Yeah. So it's not all about picking these players from Juventus or Barcelona or anything where they're just squad players. Do you know what I mean? In my opinion, I like to go and find the lads who stay like Sadio Mane went to Southampton. I think Everton need to start taking better risks in looking at more like the RB Leipzigs, you know, your Salzburgs, just teams like that, and just trying to go have a little confidence and going for it, instead of having this thing of just going, right, we'll just go get Barcelona's third string centre midfielder. Yeah, I mean, it's not the right model for us as a club, and listen, we're not at that level yet. We're not at that level, you know what I mean? So
I agree, spot on. All right, then moving away from Højbjerg a little bit, onto another player currently playing for Dynamo Zagreb, Croatian under-21 international, I believe he is. Nicolo Moro, 22 years old, 2 goals in 22 games, DM as well, centre midfielder, looks a very good, tidy, young player. Is he somebody that you think Everton should be looking at to bring in? And if he was to come in again, what sort of role would he fit? Would he be a player that would work and complement an Andre Gomes?
Yeah, I think when I've watched Moro, I think I watched him against Man City in the Champions League, and he really did impress me. As I say, he's 22. I mean, I think he's on the cusp of an international call-up. Yeah. I mean, he's got similar data to what Højbjerg has, but I think he will add more creative passing into the final third for Everton. I think Everton are lacking that player to just break lines.
Yeah.
Obviously, with him coming from Croatia, he will need bedding in period. Depends on how he adapts to playing in a higher competitive league, but I think he would stand up physically in the league as well. Yeah, it could be seen as a bit of a risk, but when you see RB Leipzig taking Dani Olmo from Zagreb and the way he's been performing, I think it would be a worth a risk taken. I think especially when you're talking in the region of like 14 million.
Yeah. So
especially for Premier League teams. But I see at the moment, all transfer fees and all that's all up in the air, the way the quarantine and all that. And so football's in a bit of a mess at the moment.
That's it, and there's been constant conversation, hasn't there, about transfer fees and the fact that teams mightn't be able to spend as much. Even if they were be able to spend as much, they won't spend as much financial fair play in that. So a Moro at a £14 million, a player that gets about... One thing Everton lack massively, I feel, in the midfield is movement. There's not enough movement whatsoever. I mean, excluding the right and left midfielders, wingers, whatever you want to call them, centre midfielders, you've got Gomez, you've got Schneiderlin, you've got Sigurdsson, Davis and Delph, obviously again excluding Gbamin because he's injured. There's no movement whatsoever in any of those players, and as much as I like Gomez and as much as I think he's a tidy player, he simply doesn't get about the pitch enough, and that's why when he played next to Idrissa Gana Gueye, he was complimented so much by Idrissa Gana Gueye. Morrow is a player that would get about the pitch, isn't he?
I think when you're playing in a 4-4-2 as well, you need that mobility.
Yeah.
Because listen, if one goes, then the other's got to cover. It's quite simple,
isn't it?
It's simple. But the way you've got Gomez and Schneiderlin, no one goes forward anyway. And if Gomez does go, Schneiderlin's got to cover. And yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, Schneiderlin has been pretty good in some cases, but he's unreliable.
Yeah.
He's as a fan watching him over the years, it's just been unreliable. He looks like a player that doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, he does.
So I think even if you could get players on loan, the way it's going, I mean, I know 25 million and all that's being getting out. See with Everton at the moment, you don't know what the finances is at the moment. So I wouldn't even disagree with getting Allen on loan.
Yeah.
If it sort of give you a stopgap between now and next season, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think Morrow, yeah, he's one player that I've liked, and I'd like to get his name out there.
Yeah, definitely more. He does look a tidy little player when I've seen him play, and a player that you watch on the pitch and you sort of think, hang on, who's that? What's he about? What's he got? About him. Obviously, playing in the Croatian national setup as well. For Zagreb, a couple of goals this season. He's a player that I think would definitely come in and improve Everton. £14 million. When you look at Morrow for £14 million, 22 years old, and you compare it to £25 million for Allen, who's 29. Obviously, Morrow's got a much bigger future ahead of him. Yes, he will need a time to embed into the Premier League and to settle down, etc., like every player does. But he's got that movement, which is key, and he's got quality on the ball. And again, we just lack that massively, don't we, in the midfield? Certainly that movement.
I think between Allen and Morrow, I think you've got to look at it the way Allen's 29 and he's going to be coming to where his career is going to be starting to decline now.
Yeah.
And then Morrow's going to go higher. He's going upwards. So I think, and even when you look at it with way we done with Vaza, we still made money on him.
Yeah.
So exactly. it's worth it. And plus as well, wages wise, he's going to get nowhere near 100 grand apparently. Exactly. So
I can imagine it to be sort of next to nothing. And the Morrow deal would work financially as well as on the pitch wise, whereas the Allen deal may work on the pitch wise, but financially, realistically, again, he only has to have one bad injury when he comes into Everton and have a year out, and then we're sitting with a 30-year-old on 100k a week who we don't know if they're going to be able to settle down.
It's just not the model that Everton should be looking at. It's just not. Yeah. And I also think Marcel Brands would agree with that. I think the talk coming out of Everton from Marcel Brands is that he wants these players. Yeah. So I think as well you've got to look at it and say you're bringing this player in who's 22. You've got to look, like, I know Ancelotti's a very good manager, but you got to look past him. Yeah. You don't know how long Ancelotti could be here for. You know the way football works. Yeah. So I think you've got to have a little bit more longevity. And just not short-termism in looking at your transfers. So, yeah.
Spot on then. All right, then we'll move on swiftly on to another player who again has been linked a couple of times to Everton. Not solid links, not a lot, but there has been a couple of things I've read regarding Boubakary, Samare, very, very, very good young player, 21 years old, currently playing for Lille, signed from them in 2017, I believe, from PSG. 20 games this season, again, another defensive player, another player that, again, is looking really, really good. For me, reminds me a little bit of, one of those players, a little bit like almost like a Garner or an Ndidi, who was brought into the league, who not many people knew an awful lot about, but you could see they've got the quality and they'll be able to settle in, they'll be able to get their head down. What about Samari then? Is he a player that you think Everton should be looking towards financially? What would he cost? Obviously, he's playing in a Lille team that, has got a lot of eyes around it when you compare it to Morrow at Dynamo Zagreb, almost like a hidden gem. Although Samari, is probably in that same bracket. Lille are a team obviously playing in Europe. Gabriel playing for the same team, who's being touted as £30-odd million and being watched by Napoli and various other clubs across Europe. So would it be a little bit more difficult, do you think, to get this deal done?
Yeah, I think with Samari, I think Lille were quoting 35 million in January or around that time. I think they also quoted that to Newcastle. Yeah. I think Newcastle were looking at him, and I think, listen, he's brilliant. He's going to be one of them players who you're going to see at a very, very high level. Yeah, he's going to be. If he stays at Lille for another year, I wouldn't be surprised if the likes of Bayern Munich, PSG start coming into him. So this is where I think. Yeah, he is where if Everton could get him now, I think it will be a brilliant move for Everton. I think he'd be about, say, like 25-30 million. I think he'd be worth. And then you look at it from a Richarlison point of view. Yeah. Richarlison got bought for apparently 50 million, but we won't go there with that one. But the value is only gonna increase. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. If he's there for a year, he could be double. Yeah. Exactly. This is what I mean. With Everton fans and like myself, we do get attached to players, and we look at it and think, "Oh no, we're not selling him for 60, 70 million." But you've got to progress. Yeah. You've got to find these players who are gonna progress your club, like Lukaku did, and Lukaku's money gave us a platform where we should have kicked on, but we had unfortunately. Unprofessional people in charge, let's just say that. So, but I think he's brilliant. I think when you watch him, I think his vision's good, his passing through the lines is good. He's very quick on his acceleration, with the ball or without the ball. I think he's very tidy with his feet, dribbling wise. I think sometimes you watch him and he is ball watching in a defensive standpoint, but you can only improve on things like that. And also as well, when you're recruiting, you've got to take in consideration what the team is going to be playing and system-wise. Like we've got this big thing about Ancelotti now that he's going to be playing a 4-4-2. He might not. He might surprise us and put us in a 4-3-3, or he could do anything. He's that type of manager. He's done it throughout his whole career. So I wouldn't be surprised if he went to a 4-3-3 and. The box-to-box midfielder that Samari has, I think he'd be brilliant, yeah. Yeah,
you're spot on. And like you said about Ancelotti there, again, he's come in and he's adopted the 4-4-2 and he's ran with it a little bit. But for all we know, he could have come into this Everton team, looked at the players and gone, there's a lot of players in here that aren't good enough to be where this club wants to be or where I want to be with this club. So let me just play the same formation that Duncan Ferguson's got them playing and got them working in, and then we'll go into the summer and then I'll look at different formations and different players and things like that. Because like you said, Ancelotti's been known before to change formations, surprise people, change his tactics around so that the opposition managers aren't able to plan for it. And although he's adopted the 4-4-2 and he's stayed with it, I think Ancelotti's got that experience to almost know, right, okay, I'm not going to come in and within 2 or 3 weeks of coming in, put the lads in a totally different formation when they've only just settled into a 4-4-2.
Well, I think with Ancelotti, he could have the biggest ego in the world if he wanted to, but the way the man comes across, he hasn't. I mean, other managers would have come in and would have told Ferguson to sit beside. I'm going to take control now, and then you could have seen something completely different where you're going halfway through a season where a team's used to a certain way, and Duncan Ferguson, brilliant, just to go simple, just 4-4-2, stay there. And the funny thing is, the players that we had at the club, that's perfect for what we needed. Listen, Calvert-Lewin before the 4-4-2, you wouldn't even dream about what he was doing now. So that's Richarlison, like Richarlison up front. He was playing out wide. I mean, there's talk about Richarlison going out to the right hand side if we can find a striker or just to fill a void. But I don't think why you would do that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't change them.
no, I wouldn't,
So
definitely. That's another point that gets sort of brought up every now and then, and certainly on social media and stuff. As I think when players are rumoured, strikers are always the ones that people look out for a little bit more. Certainly, you know, fans that aren't necessarily up to date with all of the different transfer rumours. You know, if you see a striker linked, you think goals, brilliant. How good's this player? He could be the difference between us being a Champions League team and us not being it. And I think it's easy to do that because there's a lot of good world class strikers out there. But I agree with you. I don't think we need to look at the striker position whatsoever. I think midfield is absolutely key. And just back onto Samara, you're spot on. You know, he's a fantastic player. Again, there has been a couple of situations where he's maybe ball watched a little bit and his head hasn't been in there. But 21 years old, you know, still got a lot of time to progress. And like you said, ultimately, you know, football's a business and it always will be a business, and the amount of money in football, whether we like it or not, football teams bring players in with the ultimate view of you're going to make us £60 million profit, £70 million profit. Now we sit here as fans, and we do as fans, because you get your players like Richarlison who are writing about how much they love Everton in English and tweeting about how much they love the Evertonians, and you get that emotional connection and you never want to see this lad leave. And I'm not saying that Everton will sell Richarlison or he's one that's going to leave the football club. He could be at Everton for the rest of his career and he could become an Everton legend, but
I hope so myself. I hope
exactly.
so.
I hope so, because there's that love and there's that connection there. But there are players that come in and ultimately there's the view to move on. And even if Samore, let's say, was to come in and, you know, that wasn't the plan or that wasn't the view, Marcel Brands could sit down and go, right, okay, we've brought a player in here, 21 years old, got 15 years at the high level, maybe a little bit less, 10, 15 years at the high level. Let's plan for him to be at Everton for 10, 15 years. And then if a PSG come in or a Barcelona come in and the player all of a sudden says, I want to move because that's my dream club, or I want to go and play there, or I want to go and win the Champions League, then Everton can go, right, okay, well, we don't need to worry about losing money on you because we're going to make a profit of 10, 15, 20 million and we're going to use that. There's no, you know, obviously Samore is a very good player. And like you said, for me, I think whoever picks him up, whether it's a Premier League team or you know, a team from the Italian league or the Spanish league, whoever picks him up is going to have a real top player on their hands, and a player that can definitely improve their squad and would ultimately improve Everton, wouldn't he, going forward?
I think with Everton as well, I think to get to that elite level, you've got to look at clubs that have done that. Yeah. I mean, you look at Dortmund. Look what Dortmund done. They've done exactly what we're talking about. Yeah. They've bought players who have got that potential. Like, they're still doing it now, but they're not shy to sell players and bring it in. It's a conveyor belt in Dortmund. You could be there for 2 seasons or 2-3 seasons, and the whole squad could be changed. Yeah. But they're still consistently doing it. Look at what they're going to be making on Sancho. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Haaland's another one. Brought him in. Yeah. There was rumours that there was already a sell-on clause for something like 60 million, which isn't even that grand in this day and age, but when you compare it to what they brought him in for, it's like a £40 million profit or something. And Dortmund's, for me, just off from an outsider, obviously I'm not really in the recruitment world or the agency world, but from an outsider, Dortmund's recruitment is absolutely unbelievable. Every time I watch Dortmund, there's a new young player coming in. Rainer's one from come over from America, a new young player coming in who you look at and think, you are unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that's how you make the money, isn't it?
Yeah, well, but that's how you get to that level. Like, Liverpool done it. Like, I know I'm bringing them up into an Everton show, but you've got to sort of admire what they have done, because they sold the best player for near on 130 million, and they improved the squad. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. Like, if Richarlison does have to get sold in the next year or so, and we do get 120 million for him, because the way you're going, that's how much you're going to be asking for. You know, that could bring in 3 or 4 quality players. Yeah. You progress then. You know, it's not about singling out players. It's about, at the end of the day, progressing the club. Yeah. And that's the way we are. I mean, if we want to keep players around and not improve anywhere, then that's fine. We'll stay at mid-table, and that'll. But for me personally, I want to be challenging for Champions Leagues. I want to be watching trophies getting lifted. I'm 29. I've seen my mates who are Liverpool fans have the best time of their lives.
Yeah.
You know, the best thing I've had is a final.
Yeah.
And that got ruined.
Yeah, exactly. I was at that one myself, and it wasn't great. Like,
it's what I'm saying. But like when you look back at Moyes and things like that, there was a time where we were in finals and it was brilliant, but we never sort of kicked on or just had that player to just push us through that gap, and maybe that could have changed things. But I think it's got to be clever. Listen, there's going to be a lot of patience now with Everton. I think there's a lot to sort out from what Steve Walsh and Koeman brought in. I think that should show you how bad recruitment is.
Yeah.
When the players, like we're talking about centre midfielders, and we brought three or four attacking midfielders in.
Yeah.
And I think someone tweeted out today the lineup for, I think it was against Fiorentina, what we were, and you look at that and you think, what were we even thinking of? It's just anyway, I'm rambling. Go on.
Yeah. Well, you're spot on, mate. Listen, you're spot on, and ultimately recruitment's a big part of it, and who's in charge of the recruitment is a big part of it. And we had a big chance with Lukaku, who had set out his stall for months saying he was leaving, he didn't want to be here, he was with Pogba, promoting Man United and Adidas, stuff. We sold him, and then we had a big opportunity then to push the club forward and use that money as a positive, and ultimately we didn't. And yet, obviously, Samore would be a player that would not only improve the team.
He'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
It would. You just don't know whether he's just out of that reach.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we haven't got European football.
Yeah.
But he is one to sort of maybe get a step ahead of other clubs.
Yeah. You don't try, you don't get, do you? And we could call him.
Exactly.
He could go, sound, Everton, Ancelotti, massive manager, big club, new stadium, brilliant, and we could bring him in, and then the likes of your PSGs and your Man Uniteds and your Chelsea's could look and go, we've missed the boat there. We don't want to be the team that sits back and goes, let's wait and see what anybody else does. We need to get in there straight away. Because for all we know, Samore might, 10 top clubs in world football, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, PSG again, could all be looking at Samore going, you know what, wouldn't mind him. And Everton could go straight in there and Samore could go, I want to go and play for Everton, because he's totally unaware of whoever else is in for him. But if we sit back and then those other clubs make it aware that they're interested in him, we're going to get blown out the water purely on the basis of just Champions League football in itself. So moving back on then to a player currently playing in the Premier League, centre midfielder again, as with the theme of the video, Philip Billing, again Danish centre midfielder, 23 years old, playing for Bournemouth, 27 games, 1 goal and 1 assist. Again, a player that's in the Premier League already. Again, a player that is settled in and wouldn't necessarily need that settling in period, if you like, similar to Højbjerg in not only the fact that he's Danish, but also that he's playing in the Premier League. Had a decent season so far. What do you make of Billing? Again, is he another player that you think is a little bit more of a realistic signing for Everton?
Yeah, I think Billing's probably the most underrated midfielder in the league. I think he's 6'6". Strong presence in midfield for Bournemouth. He's comfortable receiving the ball under pressure. Nice motion when turning to either side. Got a very good long stride. He's capable. He's capable of progressing with the ball. He's got a knife for a pass. One area he could improve, like you've just mentioned, is goals contribution. That is a bit of an issue from midfield. He's very good on his defensive side. I mentioned with Højbjerg about his 6 interceptions he gets per game. I mean, this lad gets 8, and also that's a bit skewed because Bournemouth are always defending at the moment, aren't they? But that stat alone is very interesting for Everton. The fact that we haven't got anyone like that at the club.
In that bracket.
He's good. He's good in the air as well. He'd be a force in defensive set pieces and attacking set pieces. I think he's one Everton who should be seriously taking a look at, especially if Bournemouth go down.
Yeah, He's got a presence, hasn't he? And again, someone of that height. We saw it with Marouane Fellaini massively when he come into Everton Football Club. Marouane Fellaini was a good footballer on the ball, but he had that presence. And Fellaini would throw an elbow in and throw a tackle in. And Fellaini would only have to shoulder barge somebody a little bit too hard or throw a sneaky elbow in and make sure the referee didn't see it. And ultimately, whoever he's playing against, whoever that centre midfielder is who's marking Fellaini, is for the rest of the game thinking, oh my God, he's got a big presence in him, he's going to get him all. And it's almost setting your stall out and saying, right, well, I'm here and you're not going to bully me, you're not going to run through me. And Billing's a player with that physique and also, but he's also got the quality on the ball. He's not just a big, tall, centre midfield player. He's got the quality, he's got the ability. Interceptions, like you said, again, something that, we haven't got. And we talk, a lot about lack of goals in midfield from Everton Football Club, but the amount of times I've been at Goodison Park and I've watched midfielders just be non-existent and teams walk through the midfield and then ultimately score because the midfield haven't been there or they haven't been putting themselves on the line or getting, in the way of shots, and Billing's a player that does that.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at a 4-4-2, I think also I think when you're looking at that, there's not that much emphasis on midfielders to score.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're looking at Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, potentially they might be able to get 40 odd goals a season for them. And also as well, I think with the way Ancelotti's system works, there's got to be more emphasis on the wingers scoring. I think with centre midfielders, I think you're very lucky in a sense of getting goal scoring midfielders. But I think once you get players from the left wing or right wing, sort of making that maybe 7 to 8 goal sort of standard, you've just got to keep a solid 2 in midfield who are capable of finding them passes in the final third.
Yeah, I agree, and I spoke a few months back about the wingers and Bernard being our second highest goals or third highest goal scorer, obviously under Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin. I think he's got 3 or 4. Walcott's obviously on 1. That isn't good enough in itself. And again, whenever we look at these midfielders, certainly, obviously, it's tough to discuss without knowing the formation Carlo Ancelotti will ultimately adopt going forward, because if he adopts a formation with a centre attacking midfielder, then we will be looking at a centre attacking midfielder who can score and who can get goals from midfield. But obviously, from what we know now, he will be playing a 4-4-2 going forward. And again, like you said, that does mean the emphasis will be on wingers. And Billing's a player that I think also would massively complement Andre Gomes in that midfield. And again, big, tall presence, good on the ball.
Yeah, I think he's very tidy with his feet. I think when you watch him, you sort of see his stature, and you do see these lads, and you think, oh no, he won't be that good with his feet, but he is. He's very tidy. He's comfortable in possession. He can keep possession. I mean, the way Bournemouth play, they've been in all types of formations. Yeah. I mean, he can play a defensive midfield role, or he can play box to box, or even if you wanted to switch it and put Richarlison on the right, you could put him up in attacking midfield with Calvert-Lewin, like you say with Fellaini. He is it's sort similar in ways, but I think he's a lot more tired on the ball, likes to play with his feet and that. But I think, like I said with Højbjerg, I think with Billing, I think he's just guaranteed 7, 8 out of 10 every week.
Consistency, which is again what we need massively.
Yeah, well, and as I say, if you do bring them 2 in, you're talking like 40 million for the both of them. I mean, for proven quality Premier League players, it's hard to come by 2, never mind 1, who you get for 40 million.
Yeah. I agree. Spot on. So there you go. There is a list of centre midfielders who Everton should be looking at. And hopefully we'll see rumoured a lot more. Certainly, obviously we've spoken about Allen and Rabiot in a very similar situation. There's players there, Premier League proven players, like Tom says there, that you could bring in. 2 players, example, for around about the same price as you'd spend on a big European name, but a player that ultimately will be coming in at an age where he's not necessarily got a sell-on value, where he wouldn't necessarily be guaranteed to fit in and get involved in the Premier League straight away and be able to adapt straight away. Why look at that when you can go and look at a player in the same position who is consistent in the Premier League, obviously already bedded into the league, and then either ultimately sign 2 players for a similar price or sign 1 and then go and look at another position that we need to improve on, because obviously there's a lot at the moment, right back, right wing, centre half as well. Just before I let you go, Tom, I know we've been on for a while, I do apologise, mate. I just want to know your opinions on the Thiago Silva rumours. Obviously there's been a lot recently. Quote has resurfaced from about 4 or 5 years ago, I think, of Thiago Silva saying that Carlo Ancelotti stands out as when he talks about managers. Carlo Ancelotti stands out for him. There was a rumour today in Le 10 Sport as to state that Ancelotti's spoken to Thiago Silva on the phone. Obviously, again, a player who's getting towards the back end of his career, very little sell-on value. I know he'd be coming in on a free transfer. A player who'd probably be wanting more than £100,000 a week. How do you feel about Thiago Silva? How do you feel about the rumours? Would you steer away? Do you think the experience would be good for the likes of a Mason Holgate?
I mean, yeah, he was brilliant in his day, wasn't he, Thiago Silva? But at 35 years of age, coming to the Premier League, I mean, if he never had the reputation, if you just looked at it on a basis of a 35-year-old coming from PSG as a centre-half, yeah, I mean, you go nowhere near him, especially when they say 100 grand. I mean, also when you said there, would it benefit Holgate? It might impede him. Like, yeah, he might put Mina and Silva in, and the way Holgate improved over the season. I think it would be a disaster if you brought someone in to take his place. And also as well, you've got Michael Keane there, you've got Mina, you've got Holgate. One of them's got to go, hasn't it? Yeah. And then also you've got Lewis Gibson on loan. Yeah. I mean, what does that say to him if you brought in Thiago Silva? It doesn't give him no pathway whatsoever to the first team for him. So yeah, I'd bypass him. Yeah.
Fair enough. There you go then. Big thanks to Tom for coming on. Like I said, TLogic 1991 on Twitter. You can find this link in the description down below. Go over, follow him. Absolutely boss lad. Knows his stuff about football as well. And you know, when we're being linked with all of these European names left, right and centre, get onto Tom's Twitter and go, hang on, there might be a younger Premier League version of this player that could come in and improve. Listen, big thanks, Tom. Really do appreciate you coming on. I had absolute boss time today. If you'd be interested in coming on and maybe focusing on some other positions, right wing, right back, centre back.
Yeah, no problem, mate. Thanks for having me. It's been a good chat. Just before we go, I work for Insight Market, so check them out on Twitter. Andy El Pavotti's been a massive benefit to my career so far over the last year. So I'd like to give them a shout and go check out their blogs and that. It's very good, very data driven if you're interested in all that. But yeah,
again, down in the description, check them all out. Go and give them a follow. And like you said, really good for if you're wanting to see the breakdowns of players' performances and particularly. Now Everton are looking for players in positions that are key positions on the pitch. It's really good to look at one player, compare them to the other and see, their interception rates and how good they are and all so down to the little things like how often they play and, their rating sort of, their average in a game. So definitely go down in the description and have a look at all of the links and go and follow.
I'll leave it with, if you wanted to do another video about wingers, I'd sell Bernard. So we'll leave it on that one.
There you go, we'll leave it on that one. We'll definitely get Tom in again to talk wingers. That leads it nicely into a discussion about wingers. Again, similarly, we'll pick out a load of players that could come in and ultimately improve the squad and some players that might not necessarily be on everyone's radar or might not necessarily be being rumoured to join us every 10 minutes by Italian publications. So big thanks to Tom for joining us today. Really do appreciate it. If you've enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button. It only takes a second. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Like I said, you can find all the links in the description below. Go down and follow them. We'll be back on Friday for another live stream and then hopefully at some point in the future to discuss wingers with Tom. Big thanks for watching. Leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.